In a very odd turn of events, with this new patch that rolled out on Black Ops Cold War, not Warzone, it seems like Treyarch has decided to go with some shotgun tuning, and if you're like me, you're thinking, here we go, another Hauer Nerf, oh boy, the Gallo is going to get another fire rate reduction. But to my surprise, none of that happened, and in fact the opposite happened. The shotguns, minus the Streetsweeper, really got noticeable buffs, and now it feels like they are more in line with how they were at launch. Now first, let's talk about the Streetsweeper because I think that's the one most people are curious about. The Streetsweeper no longer deals the same damage it did. It went from 134 damage with the base barrels to only 88. This still makes it a 2-shot kill, but you need to hit more pellets to get it more consistently. The big change here though is that the 1-shot kill that the Streetsweeper had, presumably that was bugged, is no longer here with the Task Force barrel. If you remember, it had got some weird stealth buff where you were one-shotting at the same range as the Hauer, which was just stupid dumb and completely ruined the shotgun balance as a class. Now though, even with the Task Force barrel on, it will no longer one-shot kill even at point-blank ranges. Couldn't they have just gone back to a one-shot of maybe 2 meters like it used to have? I don't really care though. I'm not too upset though because it's full auto and you can follow up super quick anyway, and the Task Force was never really that good before that weird stealth buff anyway. Now let's talk 2-shot ranges for the Streetsweeper because this is where things get a little bit weird. Now the old 2-shot ranges all seem to have been reduced overall. Before, you could 2-tap at about 6.1 meters with the Streetsweeper and no attachments. Now it's at around 5.5 meters, and this applies to all barrels. However, the Task Force barrel can 2-shot at a longer range than before, and now it has a longer 2-shot than the Ranger barrel does. It used to 2-shot at about 7 meters pre-patch, but now it's roughly 8.8 meters, which is actually pretty damn good considering it's a full auto. This makes me want to say that the Task Force barrel is still probably the way to go overall, but in reality, they all work pretty well with the spamminess nature of this gun. So overall, good changes to the Streetsweeper in my opinion, and really, I'm just happy to be back in a world where the pump action is actually getting better one-shot kills than a full auto shotgun. Now, are you ready for the fun stuff? Because the Hauer and the Gallo, oh boy, they got some pretty cool buffs. So you shotgun dudes out there rejoice because this is something I did not see coming at all. Hopefully these are intentional because patch notes are not out yet, but I'll be sure to comment on the video about any changes that I don't mention that I see in the patch notes when they release them. First off, the Hauer, everyone's favorite. Few things to note here. First of all, the Task Force barrel got a hefty reduction to its damage overall. Before, it gave us about 50% more damage, and now it's only at about 15%, which is a pretty hefty reduction. But this is mostly only going to suck for zombies players, I imagine though, because when you look at the ranges, things actually got better than before. That's right, with the Hauer, you can one-shot up to about 9.8 meters now with the Task Force barrel and the choke, up from the previous 9.2 that we saw. This is basically where it was at launch, where it was about 10 meters. So if you have the V-choke on, you will get pretty consistent one-shot kills with it, and it's definitely a must-run attachment in my opinion. Now, when we talk ranges though, the base ranges were also extended for the gun. That effective range we saw in the stats used to be about 5.72 meters, now it's 6.35. This range increase affects all of the barrels, so now with all of them, you get a small one-shot kill buff. That explains why the Task Force barrel is now getting longer one-shots as well. These are the value for those. Now, the Ranger barrel getting one-shot kills this far is really good, and since you can hit people from further away, like 25 meters, you can 2-shot players more like you used to be able to at launch. This is why the V-choke is kind of a must-have with this barrel as well, because 3 shots are still pretty common, and you just have to be mindful of that if you challenge too far, where the spread kind of gets a little too far apart. Also, they finally fixed the rate of fire bug with the Hauer. This is something that's been around since launch, and it drives me absolutely mad, because before, aim down sights and hip fire were 2 different fire rates. Aim down sights slowed your fire rate down, which was just so unbelievably annoying, and it got me killed so many times because I was expecting to get a shot off quicker, but now they both fire at that same hip fire speed as before, which is the faster of the two, so that's great. So for the Hauer, go out there and enjoy it, and I can say this is great to see that it got buffed overall, and I love that it's the best it's been since launch. Now for the Gallo, which is also surprisingly a buffed shotgun now. Now first off, let's look at this graph, which is done by none other than TheXclusiveAce. This is his work. I take no credit whatsoever, and I'll leave a link to his channel below. This is just such a great way to show ranges, so I wanted to use this as an example. And as you can see, the Gallo was getting 2 shots up to about 6.1 meters pre-buff. Now, this 2-shot range for the base Gallo with no barrels is 10 meters, roughly 10 and a quarter. This is a huge buff. I mean, 2 shots were the Gallo's thing, and this is really a big buff. I mean, when you put on the Ranger barrel, you can get 2 shots with the Vagency choke, or I'm sorry, the V choke, up to about 13 meters. And that's really crazy considering the nature of this gun and how it's a spammy gun. Now, the Task Force barrel seems to have a relatively unchanged 1-shot kill range. It's still about 5 meters. But the 2-shot is at about 9.2 with the Task Force barrel. Now there's a more clear distinction between the Task Force barrel and the Ranger barrel, and honestly, you can use any of them. I mean, if you prefer the 1-shot setup, the 2-shot range is still good, but if you're in it for the spamminess nature of the gun, the 2-shot range of the normal barrels, like the Ranger barrel, is nasty. I mean, that's crazy. 13 meters is really far for this kind of gun. The reinforced heavy barrel that gives you a faster rate of fire and range is a really good top tier attachment for this gun, and the choice really is up to you on how you want to kit it out though, but I found for me personally, I have the best results with the reinforced heavy barrel, especially now because it's got a great 2-shot range and a faster rate of fire, and that's really just, it's great overall. And as far as I can tell, that pretty much covers the buffs for the shotguns, at least without patch notes. This was a much needed buff for the Hauer, but I'm honestly a bit scared that the Gallo may have gotten a little too much love in this update. I don't know for sure. I mean, as a shotgun guy, of course I'm happy to see shotguns getting love, but I'm also not oblivious to balancing and, you know, the fact that these are secondaries. But I have a feeling that the Gallo, it may not last long with this update simply because people love to complain about it. But hey, I could be wrong, and Treyarch does have the data. So if you want to run the Hauer, now is the time, my friends, and enjoy it. This is probably going to be a good season to use shotguns until the next major tuning update. And really, it does make me want to play this game a bit more because now there's some fresh weapon balancing. Things have changed. The meta's a little bit different. Shotguns are stronger, which is always fun. And the Hauer, it's just in a great spot. So go and enjoy it. And that is just about going to do it for this video, guys. I want to know your thoughts down below. What do you think of this update? Were you as surprised as me when you saw that the shotguns actually got buffed? That's kind of amazing in my opinion. I really didn't think Treyarch had it in them, but this is great news. And let me know in the comments, do you think this was warranted? Do you think it went too far? Do you think they need to be nerfed again? And with all that being said and out of the way, I want to wish you all a happy day/night, and I'll see you in the next video.
That's a kill.